Could you elaborate on what you mentioned with watching a blind student try and code? What did that look like in terms of your ahas and going, oh, this is not at all how somebody who is able to see uses this program?
I'd kind of been primed with the challenges related to notation, as I kind of mentioned. Now, it's a totally different kind of notation, but nonetheless, that was clear in my head. So I called the Washington State School for the Blind, and I was like, hey, I want to do something together. And then eventually, after some grants and some stuff like that, I went and we started observing kids. And so one of the very first things we did some experiments where we had kids in that age try different programming languages and literally just try them, like write a loop, write a this, just simple little programs. And because they come out through screen readers, there's weird things that happen, right? At least weird if you're not a screen reader user, which I usually explain because most people aren't. And so I'll give you an example. You write a loop in C++, you can see it visually if you know the code. What it sounds like is for left paren, int I equals 0, semicolon, I less than 10, semicolon, I plus plus right paren left brace. Now imagine hearing that as a 14-year-old kid 3 times faster than what I just said and not knowing what a single symbol meant, right? All of a sudden that's tricky. And then if you have an error in your code, you're going to get a compiler error back. Now, in an IDE, a development environment, you might have like a little visual display on the bottom of the screen, and your eyes, you naturally skip certain things. So like Microsoft's Visual Studio at the time, it would have like all sorts of weird error codes, colons, funny slashes, and stuff like that. And when I visually look at it with my eyes, I skip stuff, right? I'm not going to read underscore CCEDCL : 4585. That stuff is just useless.
Right.
But if you're listening with a screen reader, guess what? Every character gets read. So you got a compiler error. That compiler might last a minute in audio, and the actual thing you did wrong, like, oh, you missed a semicolon, is like halfway through. So it's real easy to miss. So when I was sitting there watching this, and I was like, man, there's no way that someone like maliciously designed it this way. I bet just no one cared and even thought about for a moment whether this would be a good design for somebody that's using a screen reader. So that smelled like an opportunity, and we kind of jumped on it.
This excerpt was from episode 27 of the CSK8 podcast, and it was titled Accessible CS Education Through Evidence-Based Programming Languages with Andreas Stefik. You can listen to this full interview as well as hundreds more by searching for the CSK8 podcast on your favorite podcast app or by simply going to jaredoleary.com.